Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the new episode of Let's Chat with Binish and Mavish. Assalamu alaikum, Mavish. How are you doing?
Hi, Paul. How are you?
Good. Alhamdulillah. I'm doing good. So today's topic is about marriage. It's such an interesting topic. The title of our topic is Match Made in Heaven. And let's see how we are going to unfold it, inshallah. All right. So marriage is a beautiful relationship, which was the very first relationship created by God. As Adam and Hawa were the first spouses on the earth, and every other relationship originates from that. So that's the beauty of this relationship. It's a very intimate, close relationship, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created your spouse to be your companion, to be a partner in every single thing, every part of your life. So once you're married, you're stuck with each other. So that's how it's supposed to be. And subhanallah, the beauty of spouses or this relationship, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls us garment for each other. And what does a garment do? A garment covers you. It covers your flaws. It covers your nakedness. It covers all your secrets. It protects you. It adorns you. It beautifies you. That is why we wear garments. We wear clothes, beautiful clothes, to look beautiful, to look nice. And that is what spouses do for each other. That's how they should be. They should be complementing each other. And a very beautiful longing for each other in their hearts that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put in the hearts of the spouses at the moment of the nikah, the time when you actually get married. There is mawadda and rahma that is put into the hearts of each other for each other, which is beautiful, subhanallah. And that's why at the end of the day, when you want to go home and want to see your spouse, getting together with them, sitting with them, sharing your thoughts, sharing your days, sharing your feelings with them. And I know it all sounds like a movie, but that's how it should be. It's not unrealistic. This is how a marriage should be. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that your spouses, your azwaj, are created for sukoon, to be able to provide sukoon for each other, sakina. And that is when we come together, we need to be a source of peace, tranquility, calmness, relaxation, happiness for each other, inshallah. So that is all what we're going to discuss in today's episode. It's going to be interesting, so stick around, inshallah. We also need to understand that it takes two to tango. So a marriage is a relationship between two people and two families, and it's not a one person's job, right? Us in today's episode about the social and cultural challenges we all face in having a healthy and happy marriage, right, Mavish?
Yes, I think you pretty much summed it up. Like Masha, like marriage is supposed to be a safe space for both of them, and it is pretty much the foundation of a society. That's where, if you have a healthy marriage, it's pretty much going to help create children that are healthy, have a good vision, and they're just ready to face the world. And that's why also the selection process of your partner is so important. And that's pretty much when all the cultural, societal stuff kind of comes in, where you have your parents kind of playing a huge key role when it comes to picking your spouse. And also after marriage, how you pretty much are basing your marriage on what your parents' marriage has been like. So that also kind of creeps in how you view the other person and how you resolve conflicts and all of that. And culture definitely has a lot to do with it, because it kind of states what the space that the woman is supposed to be, and then the space that the man is supposed to be. And sometimes, of course, there are clashes based on what they want from the marriage. So that should be definitely something that should be communicated before marriage. It's a lot of work that needs to be done before marriage, and then, of course, it needs to be implemented after marriage. And I think then that's also when the parents come in, they should be sitting down with their kids and talking to them about kind of getting an understanding about what that person wants from the future spouse. Do they have a clear understanding what they want from their spouse? Because, as you said, it kind of is a movie, but you have to be realistic about it, in the sense that it could be a Bollywood happy ending if you kind of have a better understanding of yourself.
Yeah, possible to achieve that, right? Not like exactly Bollywood
Yeah.
kind, but we should have that connection with each other where we see each other, we want to sing a romantic song. Nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. We want to
Yeah.
spend a nice romantic evening with your spouse and have that connection with each other and feel the love and closeness for each other. And that's how it should be. And we see that in if you go back, in the Islamic background also, you see that happening between the Prophet ﷺ and his wife. You see
Yeah.
that happening, biting on the piece of meat from the same side where she had taken a bite, sipping water from the same side. It's like kissing each other. And it's beautiful, thinking about Prophet ﷺ doing that. It's not.
Yeah.
So it's such a normal human need to be romantic with your spouse. There is no shame in
Yeah,
that.
there is nothing wrong with being romantic. That's I think that's the most romantic thing to do when you're giving that much doubt, when you're looking at the person eating and seeing where they're biting and picking that spot.
That's sweet.
And just being so aware of what your spouse wants, what makes your spouse happy. Like there's so many narrations about how what do you call it? Like how he would do small things to make her happy. There's so many narrations. You don't even need to look at movies, just read about the relationship and you will learn so much from it.
Yeah.
And how he would help out in the household, how he would, if she wanted to go somewhere and he was not completely okay with it, he would still take her there just to make her happy. Right. And it is such a beautiful relationship. And it should be, a spouse should be each other's safe space, someone you can come to reconnect with, talk to them about the day, have that support when it's time to get that support.
Yeah.
You give and take like that. And it is pretty much definitely a foundation, as I said before, about from where you can grow the future generation.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, the support, the Prophet ﷺ and his wife, Khadija, how she supported him. He looked for her for support the first time the Wahi was revealed, and he was, it was a first experience, so he was nervous or scared. However, his feelings was he straight up went to his wife. So he confided in her. That is how a relationship should be. A wife should be able to confide in her husband and trust, and the husband should be able to confide in his wife and trust her in any situation. In any situation, I should feel comfortable and safe enough to go talk to my husband, and vice versa. That we're not gonna judge each other, we're not gonna shame each other, we're going to support and be positive about these things. So we're going to reflect on each spouse's role, inshallah, in the following episode from this one, which is in the connection to this. Right now, what we're discussing is how challenging it is for a couple to survive in this social environment where everybody is influencing your marriage. You are around people who are constantly judging you, constantly giving feedbacks, constantly expecting you to do your best, be at your perfect behavior, yet also attend to so many other things, just be a perfect human being, which is impossible. So the first thing that comes to my mind is how our society believes, like you mentioned, how we should know premarital, you discussed a little bit about premarital process. which does not exist in our society.
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a very
What is
new
that?
concept.
Guardian. So let's discuss the behavior of our society and our guardians, our parents towards, or even our family and relatives, our friends towards a married couple. And how does all of that make it hard for them to create a marriage they would like to create? How much interference there is. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, which is really in the beginning of everything, is that we believe that if you have a problem, if your son has a problem, the first solution is get him married. Or if a girl is having a problem, it's both ways. Sometimes a girl is not doing
Acting
the right,
out or
acting out, not doing the right things, per se, the society's guidelines. The solution is to get her married. What's this going on? What's the psychology behind it? You're a counselor. Okay, now tell me, what's the psychology behind this? Why do we think that the solution to every nonsense in a kid's life is get them married?
unfortunately, that is a solve-all solution. If the boy or the girl is at a marriageable age, the solution for pretty much everything is get them married. And I don't think there is a lot of rational thought that goes through it. I think it's like give them responsibility, get them out of the house, and they'll just figure it out,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't happen. It is not, you are pretty much kind of just pushing your problem away. I think it's almost an escape. And it's not the proper thing to do because let's say you have, for example, you have an 18-year-old who you feel is acting out in whatever way, and you're like, okay, the solution is to get her married. She's an 18-year-old. She is going through a lot of issues, and instead of helping her out, you're gonna kind of shove her in a new household with a new person and ask her to figure
Yeah.
it out.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out.
Yeah. Especially, say someone is struggling with mental health, let's say,
Right.
or someone is struggling with addiction. Someone
Yeah.
is struggling with, I would also say procrastination to a point where it's actually affecting a lifestyle.
Mhm.
For that person, why would you like just put another huge responsibility? Because with marriage, you don't add a spouse only, you add kids. Then it becomes a whole family. It grows. No matter how much you don't want to, it grows. And how would that person learn to be responsible, like by dumping them with the most serious responsibilities in the world?
That, I mean, that's why like always my first concern is you as a parent, how are you setting up your child as for success in a marriage or in a career, even just for life?
In life, yeah.
Are you a type of parent who has not let your child take control of their own lives? Or are you a parent who is dictating every single thing to them? Like where are they gonna go? Who are they gonna meet? What career they're gonna pick, what they're gonna wear. Just every part of their life, if has been dictated to them, logically you cannot expect them to go ahead in their life and just take up a huge amount of responsibility and be okay with it, because you didn't give them that space to mature. They don't have the maturity, and you need a lot of it when you get into a marriage with a new person and have the kind of the thought process of, okay, I can do this, number one, and have the maturity of working with another person. Like, okay, if this person is doing this, what should I do? Instead of keeping going back to the parent. Because what happens is that if you have dictated everything to them and they don't have the maturity and they go ahead and have a marriage, they're going to keep coming back to the parent. And then there's an issue of boundaries there. There's an issue of trust there, because this person is not going to trust the other partner because it doesn't look like they can handle them. So, and then this, if they find out that the person is going ahead and telling their parents everything that's happening in the household because they're just not able to deal with it, that causes a lot more problems. So I think, kind of concern and caution is always like, what did you do to set them up? Did you give them that high self-esteem and that kind of maturity, and kind of let go enough for them to make their own decisions, so they know they can go ahead and build that relationship? Or you have dictated to the point where you picked out that partner for them and be like, okay, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing, I think that the reason why we do that, why in our society it's done, is because now as a parent, I have lost every power or control over my son or my daughter. And I cannot, of course, they're old enough now, they're not listening to me, they're just doing whatever they want to. So I want to dump my responsibilities on another person's shoulders.
Yeah.
So that's where it comes in, like when you marry a person who is not ready to be married to. And it, regardless of age, I'm not against early marriages. I don't have any issues with that, as long as a person is mature and ready and is know what to expect in a marriage, but what we do is that we dump a sick person on another person's shoulders, and most commonly the other person is still young also,
and unaware.
And unaware. Yes,
Unaware, but
absolutely. That's very deceiving. Yes. So you don't expect your husband or your wife to be mentally sick, and you have no clue. And when the things happen, all the things are unfolding gradually, and you're surprised. What happened here? What did I do? But you're expected to make things better. So I think the parents, when they realize that I can't handle my kid anymore, so they kind of put them in this situation where you hold their spouse responsible for taking care of this person, or train them, or change them, or fix them. Now you do it. Now it's your job. Mostly I see that it's done to women, that they're married to men who are not ready to be married or should not be married, and then the women are expected to fix them somehow, magically.
Women are not rehabilitation centers.
No,
They're
not. No.
And especially if you're giving them my thing is always that if you as a mom is not able to help your child, what makes you think a girl much younger is going unaware of what she's getting into will be able to help your child?
Yeah,
exactly. It's unfair, and it's very, very deceiving to do that to another person's child. Just think about what if that was done to you. And it's unfortunately, this is done time and time again. In our society, where I don't even understand what the issue is with mental health. If you have a child who has, I don't know, autism or Down syndrome, or even some kind of other mental health issue, like
anger management or
anxiety or anger management, or just get them help. It's there shouldn't be any stigma attached to it, to getting them help. Just like when you break your leg and you go to the doctor and you fix your leg, it's just like that. You have a problem. It could be hormonal. It could be because something traumatic happened. You cannot brush it under the rug and expect it to go away. It will never go away. It has to be talked about. It has to be resolved in some way or another, where the person is able to move on. It cannot be suppressed. It's not going to happen. And then you're just making it worse by pushing another person into their with the relationship with this person, and expecting them to change, and then getting disappointed or angry that your child is still the same, or things are getting worse.
Or how damaging it is to that girl that who's expected to fix this spoiled brat. Sorry, that's how it is, which you created as a parent, and she is expected to fix all of that and turn him into a perfect human being. Yet when she fails, you keep shaming her, and how damaging it is for that little girl. or even if she's older, it doesn't matter. Age, really, we're not going to discuss age here, because it does not matter what age you get stuck with a sick person.
Yeah.
You will become sick eventually as well. So
I think the problem that kind of arises is that the mom or the dad is not thinking about the other child. They're only thinking about their own child, of the troubles their own child is going through. If you started them thinking about the other person, and also your child is not going to be happy either in that relationship.
mhm.
So you're not helping them either.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
your intention is
yeah.
to help them, but you're not helping them.
Yeah.
You're making it worse for them, because now they have this very high stress of trying to figure themselves out and their spouse out. And if they have kids, it just keeps growing.
Yeah, yeah,
It
it's
just
just
keeps growing. That's not helpful.
yeah.
And then you create generations of just trauma
Yeah,
basically there,
yes,
and
yes.
just learned behavior there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's basically, well, I look at it as if, like, I can't babysit my kid anymore, so you do it for me.
You do it for me, and it's so wrong. And it's just not even mental health, it's sometimes also abuse. Any kind of abuse a person has gone through, that's also something that's not talked about.
Mhm.
And then the girl then has, if it's sexual abuse, that's something else she completely has to figure out by herself,
Yeah,
because that's also a stigma, that even though she is the victim, she's treated as the villain, that she kind of bought it on herself.
right.
So
Yeah.
that solution is also marriage, not therapy. You just get her married, she'll be fine.
Yeah, yeah. So we established with this, we established that marriage is not the
Not a,
solution to
yeah,
all the problems.
it's
To
not.
all the
It, it,
problems.
it shouldn't be. It truly, because the whole purpose of a marriage is to bring couples together, to be garments, right? To find peace in each other.
Please see each other.
And if they are pushed into a relationship with people they don't want to be with,
Mhm.
it's not, that purpose is not fulfilled then.
And that's why we have so many dysfunctional marriages in our society, which are not dealt the right way. And another shame is brought upon the person who wants to maybe get divorced from this marriage. They
Right.
they want to quit. They don't want to do this anymore, because eventually, if you're married to a sick person, you become sick too. Eventually, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Because how much are you going to take on? I am the fixer, and the other person keeps getting, is the one who's getting fixed all the time. So yeah, so we understand now the marriage is not the solution to every problem. Please address all the issues before you get into a marriage, all your problems. And that's where the self-identity comes in. That's where knowing your kids come in. That's where how your own marriage is working comes in. That's where parenting comes in our previous episodes, how we talked about how parenting is so important to raise how grooming yourself is so important to raise a healthy, happy child, so they eventually become a healthy, happy person and a spouse to somebody, inshallah. So the next thing what we face in our society is now we put these two kids together, okay, and we are very fond of early marriages. Okay, get them together as early is better. So the girl is younger, you can shape her the way you want. The boy is young, or to protect him from any kind of sin, blah blah blah, whatever the reasons are. You think as a parent that now they're ready for marriage. And I'm not talking about the kids who are asking to get married. There's a difference. If somebody is asking to get married, that means they're ready. They should get married, provided everything else is also good, inshallah. But you as a parent decide, okay, my daughter is 16, 17, 18, or 20. Now she should get married. Yet you don't let them be independent on making the simplest decisions of their lives. And another contradiction to that is that you want, first you create this, and then you are So first you think they're responsible and old enough to get married, and then second thing, you
You don't,
wanna guide everything. You wanna feed, like
you don't
spoon feed
trust
them.
them.
Yeah. Yeah. Why is that there a contradiction um in our society?
According to me, honestly, if you feel that your child is not mature enough to figure it out after marriage, they shouldn't be getting married.
Hmm.
If you don't trust your child to pick their own spouse, to know what they want, and pick their own spouse to be part of that decision, they shouldn't be getting married because you are spoon feeding them at this point.
Hmm.
And what makes you think that when they're out there with this person, completely alone in a new relationship, they're going to be able to thrive and build that relationship? Because you gave them nothing. You didn't give them the tools to make their own decision. You didn't grow that maturity level. So they shouldn't. I personally don't think they should be getting married. Because if you're what are you looking at? Like you're looking at what your idea of a good spouse is for her. That's not always necessarily true, because I think as parents we look at different things when we're looking for an eligible spouse for our kid than the person looking for a partner themselves. Do you understand what I mean? So, for example, like as a parent, I would be looking at their education, I will be looking at their background, at their family, how much they make, where they live. That's what I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be like, oh, this is a good enough guy and he is religious and everything. But I, as a person who's looking for a spouse, would be looking at their hobbies. I would be looking at what interests them. I would be looking at what they like to eat, what their favorite foods are. I would be looking at like how many kids they want and all that stuff. So a much more deeper personal level. I won't be looking at a resume. I
Hmm.
would be looking to get to know that person.
Hmm.
And only the girl or the boy who's looking for the partner could be the one to talk and find out, because a parent is not going to ask them what are your hobbies and all that. It doesn't make sense. They're not connecting. You have to connect on some level to then go, okay, I want to marry this person, I want to live my life with this person. You have
Yeah.
to have some kind of compatibility there.
Hmm.
And it could be the best person in the world. You could have the two best people in the world as individuals, but they might not thrive together
Yeah.
because they have completely different lifestyles or way of thinking,
Hmm.
right? Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So which makes me think of as this thing needs to be a team effort,
Mm-hmm.
right? We can't say me as a girl or a boy can't say that I'm gonna choose my spouse all by myself,
No, parents should be
but
able.
we need to involve our parents. We need to, because of course they're older, they're more experienced, they have insights, they have wisdom. So all of that is definitely going to help us. They can look far, they can look at a person and figure out things which we can't as young kids, then we need to allow our parents to work with us, and the parents need to allow the kids to work with them. So it's a team effort.
Should be a
No
team.
parent want to actually hurt their kids. No parent intentionally choose the wrong spouse for their child, but we need to come to a middle ground here. We are a team.
Yeah.
We are a team, so we got to work together.
And unfortunately, that doesn't happen that often. I think parents, most of the time that I have noticed, are like, I know better. I don't think you know what you're doing. And in
Yeah.
some ways, in some things, I agree that a parent definitely has that wisdom and maturity to know better
Mhm,
in
mhm.
some things. But as you said, it has to be a team effort. Children should not be forced into a marriage. That's also not allowed in Islam as it is.
Mhm.
You shouldn't be taking them off to a different country and giving them the choice of either you get married and come with us or you stay here.
Yeah.
And that sadly does happen.
Mhm.
A girl, especially two girls, they could go off to another country and they get married off without any prior knowledge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I mean,
that
even where you are at, like that's usually the process of marriage, especially towards girls. They're just like told, like, we have fixed your marriage with this guy. I mean, especially where I come from. This is actually what happened to me when I come out like that. Yeah. I mean, alhamdulillah, I'm doing all right. But, and a lot of people are doing all right with that also. But this is not a good practice because that's not encouraged by our deen.
No.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to ask your daughters if she is okay with this, this is the guy we found for you and he seems to be a good fit. Are you okay with it? It's just simple as that. And I'm 100% sure still 80% girls are going to say, yes, you make the decision for me. I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it should be okay for the girl to say that, let me talk to the boy also. It should be, in Islam, it's allowed. It shouldn't be, okay, this is the boy for you. I have made the decision and that's the end of it. They should be involved in the decision to get to know their partner.
Yes. So that's where the premarital counseling comes in. I know this is a new concept for our society. A lot of people will be like, what is premarital counseling? What is counseling first? It's something to guide the two kids who are coming to an age, or two people who are intending to get married. It's something to guide them how to choose a spouse, or what questions you should be asking, how to know yourself better so you can ask the right kind of questions. And you got to be smart. It's a matter of life. It's not like you get married to get divorced tomorrow. That's not. You get into a marriage with an intention to make it work, inshallah. So you got to be smart, boys and girls, both of you got to be smart, inshallah. So yes, so now we understand that it is a team effort. When the parents, you think the kids are old enough to be married, give them the trust and the confidence that you allow them to say what they want, allow them to ask for what they want, and and trust them on that, give them honor and give their decision some respect. And for the kids, I would say, also respect your parents' decisions as well. Listen to them, listen to it. Yeah.
And again, it kind of goes back to your relationship with your child.
Yes.
If you have built up that trust and deep relationship with the child, that the child is comfortable enough to come to you to say that I am interested in this and this person. And it's something that you can look at, like, okay, let me look at the girl she has bought, instead of getting kind of angry that I wasn't part of the decision since the beginning.
Yeah.
And I think, and then same thing then with the child is, if you have the child's trust the parents, they have the relationship, they can easily sit down and say that, okay, the girl or boy that you're showing to me, the rishta that's come for me, it's not something I am very interested. This is what I want. So this is what I would like my mom or my dad to look into. If they are looking for a spouse, and that definitely helps.
Yeah.
Like, for example, over here in America, it's like we do a lot of, like, for me, we didn't like I got my husband's rishta or whatever online. Like, we had an account that my parents and I were monitoring, and we would go through profiles, and then we found his, and I spoke to him, I liked him, then my parents came in, spoke to his parents and all. So it was because we had that communication, I had that communication with my parents, and we already set expectations that this is how it's going to go. Like, if I speak to the boy, I like him, I let you know. If you speak to a boy and you like him, you let me know, and then we sit down and talk about it and make a decision. And of course, kind of let them know what my expectations are from my future spouse, so they have an understanding of what I am looking for. So it definitely helps. And alhamdulillah, like, I found someone who is compatible to me and comes from a good family and all of that. And it goes back to teamwork and having that respect. And I think that's something else. Like, parents tend to not respect their kids' decisions because they don't trust them. And I think even if that kid would be the best, like the most mature kid in the world, parents sometimes have trouble respecting what the child wants. And I think it depends obviously on what the child wants. Either the parents can sit down and talk to him, or just kind of let go. based on what it is. If it's something small,
Mhm.
pick your battles basically.
Yeah. I mean,
And
yeah.
yeah, and then move and just put in that teamwork. I think that all around it helps so much.
Yes.
And another thing that I think also not when we're talking about premarital counseling, that's also part of it. That's such an important part of it. And Isha will talk about that. And another is, as a parent, you should be sitting down with both your kids and
Mhm.
telling them the Islamic rights that they have for themselves and over each other. So
Yeah.
they're clear on that, because there's so
Yeah.
many times that I speak to women and other women, and they're like, oh, and sadly, what has happened is we know more about our culture rights, like culturally what we're supposed to be doing for our husbands,
Duties. Yeah.
and that
Duty.
has superseded our Islamic rights.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, what has happened, and at least I see in my generation and the future generation, is they move away from Islam
Yes.
because they hear about is culture, 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 culture. In our country, we do this and
Yeah.
this. And no one explains to them that this is culture, this is religion. It's
Yeah.
very
It's so
interlinked.
mixed up. Yeah.
It's completely mixed up, and sometimes to the point where Islam is kind of pushed to the side and
Yes.
culture comes in, and they're like, this is just how it is in our
Sadly.
family, this is how we do things. And even if you try to explain to them, they just have a very hard time understanding that this is not Islam.
Mhm.
Especially, I think for women, there's so many things they're taught about what they're supposed to do with the when it comes to their husband, their relationship. Um, and they then start learning about Islam, and they're very, very surprised that I didn't know this. I didn't know we have this,
I
right?
know.
Like,
I
for
know.
example, like just taking your last name. You're not supposed to actually take your
No.
husband.
No, you shouldn't. I
You're
mean,
actually discouraged from taking your
yeah.
husband
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
But as a society in our culture, that's just automatic. No one even asks.
It's like if you don't, you're committing a sin. So
Yeah.
that's how culture has become. Subhanallah. I mean, it's very annoying that the culture has more importance than Islam. If you refuse to do something that is culturally known, it is looked down upon. It is like considered a sin, literally, that you are doing something wrong, you know.
And there's so many things when it comes to women's right, like that is considered a sin in
Yeah.
our culture when it's not. Like, for example, one of the things I learned when it comes to the Nika contract, that how you can change it. A woman can add things to it.
And before you even go there, are we even reading it?
That's another thing.
Yeah.
That's
I
another
did
thing.
not read it. I
In
did
it.
not read mine. I
I
just
didn't read
signed
mine.
it.
I signed it. I didn't read mine, and I didn't even know where it went to.
Blank check, do whatever. I
Yeah,
mean, wow,
I don't
seriously.
even have like I don't. Yeah, no one reads it.
Yeah.
And I heard actually that some places the imam would actually cut out stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and it's truly is interesting how sadly men take away women's rights. It truly is sad.
Oh my God. We need to actually do an episode where we read the nikah contract.
Yeah,
We should do it. Yeah,
I don't even
definitely.
have mine. I don't even know where it is.
uh, no, not you can look it up, just an empty one, you know. We're gonna read it and we're gonna discuss it, and maybe we can invite an imam in our episode to
That
put
would be
light on that. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Because I found it very interesting. I never knew that
it
it
is.
made changes to the Nika contract, because
It
they're
is
like
so
a
cool. Yeah,
contract. You can add whatever you want to it. Of
a lot
course,
of things.
very thoughtful
Hmm.
about what you add to it, because it is a binding contract. And if you
Hmm.
don't follow it, it breaks it. So you need to be very careful what you put into it. But so I don't remember exactly what it was. I think I wanted to put into the contract. And my parents were like, no, why would you put that in? Like, why are we even talking about
Yeah,
it now? Why would you put that in?
yeah. I mean, it is
I
what it
actually know
is.
that. I spoke to my husband and he was 100% okay with it.
Yeah,
But they were like, no, you're not doing
yeah.
that.
I mean, it is a contract, right?
Yeah.
It is just like any other contract. It has clues. You can add conditions. You can say yes, you can say no before you sign the contract. It's not a giveaway. Sign it. I sign my life off to my
That's
husband. It's not that.
not. And the funny thing is between those two people, so they should be the one making the decision
Discussing it.
and agreeing to the contract, actually
Yeah.
reading it. It's funny,
Yeah.
why does no one read the contract? We should be reading it.
I don't know. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't think even the guys read it. Nobody
no,
reads it.
it's
Nobody
like
reads.
I asked him and he was like, no, I didn't read it.
No, no, nobody reads it. SubhanAllah. That's funny. It's actually funny how ignorant we are. You know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created so many good things for us, and we don't benefit from it just because we're ignorant. We don't want to learn. We don't want to explore. SubhanAllah.
No, we are also, I think, given incorrect information. I think
It's
that's
because we don't know. So, whatever the culture evolves into, that's what becomes the law, unfortunately. And
yeah.
if you want to do something different, if you want to learn and bring the correct information, that is disobedience, that is a sin, that
I
is,
think, does
oh
it
my
happen
God,
in your
the
family?
parents come, the parents come in the picture. You're disobeying us. How could you be like this? What are the people gonna say? All that nonsense comes in.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah, the big one. What are people gonna say?
yeah, log kya kahenge? Log kya sochenge? I mean, I read that somewhere on Facebook or something on log kya sochenge? वो भी हम सोचेंगे तो फिर लोग क्या सोचेंगे?
Yeah, like that.
That's funny. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to the next point. And we kind of did already merged into that. That, usually what are the expectations from a girl in a marriage is where a girl is expected to act more mature and responsible than the boy. And a boy, a man can do anything stupid. He can behave any way he wants, but the girl is always supposed to behave the right way. And in the same extension, what happens is that when a man has a problem with his wife, and it could be a genuine problem, I'm not discouraging that. When the man brings up that problem with somebody, which you should, when you have a problem, you need to go to a neutral third party to help you with it. Please do encourage men talking about their problems. Don't push them away. But what I'm going towards is, the wrong way of approaching those problems, like shaming your wife in front of your mother and shaming your wife in front of her parents or your siblings or her siblings or relatives. Like, not that is, first of all, that's not a right intention to fix your problem and work on your problem. That's just to degrade the other person, shaming that person. So that's done to a woman. But when a woman brings her problems to somebody, she's told to keep quiet, be patient, do more, serve him more. He's going to come around. He's going to come around. He's going to come around. Like when? Come on, man. I've seen couples. I mean, honestly, this is so common that a woman suffers for 30, 35 years of her marriage. Okay. And now the guy is 60. And that 60-year-old who has no energy, no strength, no importance anywhere else, So now he comes to his wife and like, oh, you're everything to me. You got to do everything for me. And I cannot live without you, blah, blah, blah. And you're hanging with her.
That I don't think even that happens. He just comes and he has a sense of entitlement that, okay, keep taking care of me now.
He becomes the baby. And unfortunately, these women think that that's my victory. Yeah. Oh, I won him. He's back to me. I mean, tu jahan bhi gaya lauta to mere paas aaya. Like, whenever you go, at least you're coming back to me. So,
and it's the saddest thing because that's the rationale they're giving themselves. Because that's what culture, society has told them that, well, at the end of the day, he comes to you, right? Like, it's the bare minimum. What I really find it annoying is why our women are supposed to be okay with the bare minimum. He
Yeah.
gives you shelter, he gives you food, he doesn't beat you up. You should be happy.
Mhm.
Why are you having problems with him? Okay, so he yells at you and emotionally tortures you. That's okay. Men
Yeah.
get angry. Men are men. They have their anger issues.
Yeah.
You just don't get him angry.
Yeah.
That's the solution. And for
Yes.
men, it could be they could have the best woman in the world, and if they're still unhappy, they will nitpick on that one thing. It could be the silliest thing, and they will
Yeah.
just pick that one thing, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, his wife is like that," and he's gonna go around saying, "Oh, my wife is like that," and it's gonna be okay. It's not. No one turns around and says, "Well, you have a pretty good wife. Why don't you?" Instead of picking on that negative quality, think about all the good she's doing for you. Why? I mean, that's also, I think it's good to go to someone for advice, but I think you should also know who to go for advice.
Exactly. 100%.
You can't just go to a person who's just like you. I mean, obviously, that's usually what happens because that's the friend you have. And he's going to either help you, unfortunately, or unfortunately, will be giving you more negativity in the sense that, oh, how dare she? You should go tell her. You should show her who's the man.
Because that's the same kind of man you're going. He's the same like you.
Exactly.
So that's what's
And
going to
because that's
happen. And
usually
there's
the
going to be
friends that
bias. Yeah.
you would have, right? You tend to have friends who are like you.
Mhm.
It's always better to have friends that are different from you because then they give you a different perspective. That's why I always say that's how you're going to thrive and grow and change. You
Yeah.
should have people who are different from you.
Mhm.
But we tend to obviously have friends who are similar to our thinking and our lifestyles,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So unfortunately, if he goes to a person who is just like him, they're going to be like, oh, how dare she, and give them incorrect advice. And as a society, we would find that to be completely okay.
Yeah, I
And
accept that.
that's when I think we kind of talked about this, is that like the low, we are the low.
Yeah.
We need to change. We need to change ourselves. We need to change for our kids, and we need to give them that change, because I was under the impression that the low were my mom's generation, but I'm meeting girls from my generation and they are the low.
Yeah. Yeah. We're still doing that. We're still doing that.
It's
That's the
still
problem.
happening. Even
Yeah.
after it happened to them, they're still doing it to their own daughters. They're still thinking that
Mhm.
way, still talking that way. Instead of collecting money and saving money for education, they're still saving money for their dowry. And
Yeah.
these are women my age.
Yeah.
And it was the most surprising thing for me ever when they started talking about that. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Why
Same,
do you
same.
want your daughter to go through the same thing you did?
Yeah.
Don't you want something better for her? Why are
Yeah,
you teaching her what all the wrong that you were taught? Teach
because
her Islamic
they
rights.
are so conditioned. They're so conditioned to accept it that if I'm going through this, I'm like a numb or a dead person. Like I'm okay with all of that, justifying it as a source of reward or earning Jannah. Then
Yes.
how would you stand up against it? So if you are thinking this is my way to Jannah, to accept all the abuse, all the nonsense, all the crap, and that's how I'm earning Jannah, why would you stand up against that thing first? Then why would you tell your daughter not to do it? Why would you? That's the mindset. That's how you're getting into Jannah.
And the funny thing is, that's not even true.
No.
You're actually supposed to fight your abusers.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you look, and there's so many lectures, like look it up. There's so much more context to the word sabr.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much more to it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just supposed to have sabr all your life and just take it. You are
Yeah.
supposed to fight your abusers, because you're going to be asked about that too. Because
Yes.
guess what? Who else got abused with you? Your kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't justify that.
No.
And that's the saddest justification and rationale that, oh, this is my. And I think at a point it does become easier, because a woman
Yeah, it's your
can only
comfort zone.
fight for so long.
Mm-hmm.
At a point, she either fights, she picks her battles, and then just goes quiet. And
Yeah, I don't see that happening a lot. What I see is that a person takes, like, I see two things in our society.
mhm,
a person will just take it until they are done. And then they just blow up, like, 20, 25 years later in the marriage,
Yeah.
you're done. So it just flips. The roles basically flip, now because the guy is weaker, older, can't really do anything about it, or the kids have grown up. So they're
That's
standing
true.
by your side. So you have the power and the courage now. So it flips.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Or the second thing I've seen is just keep suffering till the end of your life.
Keep suffering to the end. That's true. That's very true.
And then I also see that women speaking up, which is a rare case, actually, which is a very rare case. I know we hear a lot about like divorce rates increasing and blah blah, but actually those practices is still continuing. These are the three ways we see it.
Yeah, like yes, the divorce rates are high. We keep hearing this. That's a completely different issue. I think we'll talk about that later. But yes, sadly, women are conditioned to take it. Since they're young, they're conditioned to just to get the short end of the stick, basically. And that's why they think it's okay. And they then go and they look at it in the sense that I'll get Jannah if I do this. But at the end of the day, you really have to really read up on that also.
Yeah.
That that's
not
that's
the way.
not it. Like, does your
No.
life mean nothing?
No.
And who is getting and if you are going through that abuse, your kid is also going through that abuse.
Yes.
Because he's the one observing everything and picking, and either he could become he could pick up something from the abuser, or he
Become
could
one. Yeah.
abuse. It could be two rules he picks up.
Yep. Yeah.
Either he will continue that cycle into the next relationship he has,
Yeah.
and this is for men and women. He could become abused, or he could be the abuser. And I know it's a harsh word to use, abuser, but if you're mentally, and I don't mean, it's not, the abuse is not only physical, it also is emotional. And sadly, emotional is always a lot more hidden. And as a society, we tend to kind of minimize it. That he yells at you, he screams at you, it's fine. At least it doesn't beat you up.
Yeah. There's always at least.
There. Sadly, for a woman, it's always there. At least he doesn't do this and this. Even for like some mother-in-laws, they're like, oh, my mother-in-law this to me. At least I'm doing it to you. Or even moms would say that to their kids, where like, my mom used to do. It shouldn't be that way.
No.
Shouldn't be. You're minimizing abuse. Abuse is abuse is abuse. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And it's something that you should be teaching. And that also, again, goes back to the parents about how they condition their kid. Did they condition them to take it, or did they condition them to fight it? It really then comes into, because that's what did they nurture, the flight response or the fight response?
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah, unfortunately, I've met with women who are justifying physical abuse, obvious physical abuse. So they're justifying that, protecting their husbands. And to those women, I can understand if emotional, psychological abuse does not even exist. How much of emotional and psychological abuse happens along with the physical abuse. We don't even see that. Physical abuse, marks on your body or something, they go away eventually, but those marks are left on your soul. It's not only on your body. They go far deep, and we don't realize how harmful and damaging it is to the person who's getting abused, to all of the people who are around that, observing that. And like you said, how kids are going to pick on one role. Either they're going to be the abuser or the abusee. So, they're going to pick on one thing. And the cycle keeps going on and on and on. So you have to stand up, and we know in the Quran also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this lady who came to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Surah Mujadala. It's just so beautiful that this lady came to the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam complaining about her husband, and Allah revealed an ayah for her. What do we learn from that?
If Allah is with you, what are you scared of?
Why don't we learn from that? So that lady's complaint was so important that Allah, at that moment, Allah revealed an ayah for her. That's how important a woman's complaint is, because a woman, when she comes to you complaining, she's not coming on the first of it, you know. So she has already ignored, suffered, forgave, been patient for a long time before she comes, giving you multiple chances before she comes to someone and actually puts her complaint forward. Yeah. So that's why it has a lot of weight. It has a lot of weight. So we need to give it importance.
That is so true. And I think we need that's something to, I think it's time we got rid of all these social stigmas, unnecessary social stigmas and cultural stigmas, like, you know,
Mhm.
and I think I do see the change, alhamdulillah. Like I'm seeing like boys getting married to divorcees and widows and
Yeah.
all that stuff. Like masha, that is starting to happen and it's great. I think we need to just keep going down that path and keep
Yeah.
educating ourselves so that we don't fall
Correct.
prey to this. And
Yeah.
just educate yourself on Islamic rights. That's going to help you a lot.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I always like this, like I always say, like, you know, if Allah Ta'ala is with you, if He is with you,
Mhm.
what do you have to fear? Everything will turn out. It will be hard.
Yeah.
It would be hard in the beginning, but it will turn out for the better.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of stigma for divorce is there. That's why women don't leave them, don't leave these men. And that's also something that is
Yeah.
used against them. That
Yeah.
where are you gonna go? I can go get married 3 more times. Where are you gonna go? And the woman most of the time is financially dependent on the husband. So there's nothing, they don't know what they can do to help themselves and their kids.
Mhm.
And their fear is also there that their kids might be taken away from them. And it's just so much happening there that it's hard. It's hard. But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
if I think that's what's happening right now is that it used to be hard, and now the hard they keep hearing the divorce rates are up because women are getting educated, they don't care, and all of that, and it's sad. It has gotten to sadly a bit of an extreme, and it needs to come down to a middle ground. That's also a concern, but I think it's good. I think women are like, we're not taking your crap anymore.
No. No. Yeah.
And of course, it has to be, of course, divorce shouldn't be taken lightly. I am not applauding that. I'm
No.
talking about how strong women are. Like, I am not going to put up with this. And men, I think, still are far behind in understanding that women are not going to take this anymore.
Yeah.
And they're slowly getting it, I think. And
Yeah. Yeah. I think if we understand Islam the right way,
yeah.
and that is why it's actually kept hidden from girls, uh, the true understanding, and even with the boys, because we just want to culturally condition them
Mhm.
that it's okay, the way, this is how you need to treat your wife, this is how she needs to serve you, and you need to be served, and you are providing her, and that is all. That's good, you're doing your job, and beyond that is no importance. Like a women's opinion about intimacy is not important. A women's opinion about their, how they want to live their life, their dreams, their choices. You know, I even I remember somebody sharing with me that, you know, one time she was made fun of just because of the selection of the food she likes, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Her
this is
husband or
by her husband. And, you know, nobody around her said anything, you know. So a man's incorrect behavior is never pointed out, it's never addressed, you know, and that gives out such a bad, wrong signal. That tells a man that it's okay however you behave, and she should deal with it, she should be okay with it. So there's such an imbalance, and when a woman choose to you know, get out of that relationship, our society makes it impossible for her to continue with her life.
yeah, that's like so true that no one is really supporting the woman that much. And sadly, women are not supporting women. Men will support each other. They will come up with things like, you know, just justifications, but sadly, women are not supporting women. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing is that they tend to bring each other down. Like every marriage is different. Every marriage is going to look different. So um, sadly, jealousy is also a factor. Sometimes it's there, and we really need to empower each other and support each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah.
If I think we kind of spoke about this a bit, was that if you see a person doing something else, something different from you, let's say for as a mom, if another mom is a stay-at-home mom or a career-oriented mom, they shouldn't be shamed for that choice because both choices are allowed.
Yeah.
Both choices are allowed, and they shouldn't be shamed for that, and they should be supported and helped in that also,
Yeah.
because both is hard. Being a mom at work and being a mom at home, it's both is it's pretty tough. So definitely empower each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah. And I think, that there it comes again, the role of a mother. You got to be informed, you got to be educated Islamically and in the worldly education. You got to have that confidence that when you see that something is wrong in my marriage, I should be able to address it. I should be able to speak up. I need to get the point across that this is not how it's going to work. And this is not what I'm going to take up on. I'm not going to continue on taking it. And you need to be strong enough. And if a person chooses divorce and no woman just wants a divorce for fun. It's after she has given multiple chances and choices. So our society needs to accept those women. And that reminds me of the time of the Prophet ﷺ, when getting divorced and getting remarried was so easy.
It was nothing. There was no
So
stigma
easy.
attached to it.
Yeah.
It was a choice and it was okay. Obviously, it wasn't taken lightly, but when it happened, it wasn't a. So it was basically kept private why it happened. It was there.
Yes, strictly.
I think that's another thing, that it's like such a big deal. Oh my God, why did they get divorced? What happened? What happened? And then people come up with their own ideas and assumptions about it. And then it's just a huge thing that everyone has to discuss. At that time, it happened. It was between those two people, and it was those two families, and that's it, done. It shouldn't be such a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be discussed. And definitely, you shouldn't be gossiping anyways about something that happens in other people's life. You just have to respect their decision that this must be something they both didn't take lightly. They had a hard decision to make. If they have kids, it's a much harder decision.
Yeah.
And support that. And I mean, if you can't support it, fine. At least respect it.
Yeah. I mean, stay out of it. Stay out of it. Not your business.
That's why it's so important to have respect for I think love and all that, it will come. But to respect, I think that's where every relationship should start. And even if it's ended, you should respect that person. To not divulge the secrets just because you're done with them. As even with friendships, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing that with any relationship.
I feel like the role of a woman is very, very important in all around us, in every, whatever you are. You're a mother, you're a wife, you're a daughter, you're a aunt, you're a cousin, you're a friend. As all the roles you are in, you play a huge, it's heavy. And for that reason, we need to be educated. Like, like they say that behind every successful man is a woman. I would definitely say behind every failed man is also a woman. Either it's your wife or it's your mother. Definitely, these two people are very important in your life. So get, do your best and know what you need to do.
It's a huge responsibility because we are pretty much upbringing the next generation. And the language that your mom speaks is what you're going to speak. And the way that she communicates, the way she talks about other people is what you're going to do. So it's a huge responsibility that we need to be aware of and educate ourselves, so we instill the proper beliefs and ideas in our kids. And I think that the most important kind of comes down to is to empower each other. as women just not bring each other down. And sadly, that's it's that, what's that word? Would they say, like, the aurat ki dushman hai?
Yeah.
Like, sadly, it's I have seen that perpetuated many times, and it is just because as a woman you understand what the other
Yeah.
woman is going through,
You should.
the
Yeah.
heart-wrenching emotions that that woman is going through. So you should be kinder to her instead of belittling her or talking about her in a negative way. Definitely help each other out a bit more.
Yeah.
Because men, they are always going to stand out like, bro, the bro code, you know? They are going to be there for each other. So I think we should be stronger for each other also.
Also. Exactly. Give him some attitude. That's fine. And that's gonna give you that importance. What you need, claim it, why not? Why not? Allah has created you as an honored human being, a respectful human being. And if Allah has honored you, why can't you claim it from everybody else? Why not? Yeah. So definitely, we're at the wrap. We're gonna stop here. It's almost an hour, but there's another very important point we have missed, which we're gonna inshallah continue in the next episode. So follow, don't miss the follow-up episodes. The next episode is going to be really interesting. We're going to talk about what things you should be doing as a couple to inshallah make your marriage be a much smoother and loving experience. And that's the role model you're going to create for inshallah for your kids also, so let's wrap here. Please like, share, and comment. Let us know how you're liking our episodes. And if you have a problem, if there is an issue, something's bothering you, let's chat. All right. So let's see you in the next episode. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.